What is the good? Do you mind? Thank you. There is I learned a lot yesterday, I can tell you guys that. I don't even know. My wife's trans friend came over yesterday, and us old people learned a lot about the gay community that we didn't know. Her friend is what is on their way to trans, and you know, like it's strange because I get how it's gonna be something that you probably haven't experienced before, but as far as like people go, she is a great person, just interesting, and there are things that that are different. What? Yeah, I know. Um, there are things that are different, but it's like a lot of it has to do with age. And you find out like it's really interesting how the narrative has us believing that we're all so different. That gay people are so much more, just so much different than heterosexual people. And their worlds are different, for sure. But as far as like a lot of the inner workings of how things go, it's all really similar. And it seems like if people realized they had a lot more in common with gay people than they realized, like...
Gay people seem to be a lot more responsible when it comes to sex and health and...
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, the gay community, sex-wise, to me is kind of gross. Like... there is a lot of anonymous, like, I don't understand, like, sex is cool, sex is, but it's not, like, if I was a female and I could experience what females experience, it would be a different story. But as for a dude, I mean, it's cool. It feels good. I just, it just seems like it's not worth the risk. And, oh, sorry. And like the dudes that, their sexual practices are like you said, it's really safe in some regards. But even like the idea of you being, right, having been tested within 2 months. Well, if you've had 30 partners in that 2 months, it really doesn't matter how much you're tested.
That's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to.
And when you understand, like, the manufactured nature of HIV, AIDS, all that shit, and how, it's like when I was a kid, I was terrified of AIDS, my graduating class is 97. So, like, we were like peak AIDS, especially for them trying to scare us in school and you know and I didn't, it wasn't until later on that I realized, as straight men, we're extremely unlikely to actually contract AIDS. AIDS comes from the injection of something, whether it's the injection of a needle or the injection of a penis. You know, it's especially with all the gay butt sex and the little tears and the exchange of fluids that is bound to take place. But it's just like so many other things where it's like, what's the argument? What do we argue about? What are we being fed? And I know I read a while ago that there's no on record connection, or there's no on record case of HIV ever actually turning into AIDS. And there are schools of thought to think like, I don't know. It's like it's a very, like I wish I had Xander. I'm gonna start calling him Xander from Drawn Together. I'd love to know what he thinks, what he knows, what he thinks he knows, what narrative is being pushed into the gay community nowadays. I don't know. But it's strange because it's like Hollywood has always been full of Jays with homosexual tendencies, and sure, a lot of them would have their beard family, but it's strange. I was thinking about this yesterday. It's undeniable that big wigs, be it government, Hollywood, wherever, we all know that, like, that stereotypical gay J, like, there have been so many closeted homosexuals, the guys that go after homosexuality the most, and then you find out that, like Weiner, Anthony Weiner. But the fact that there haven't been any political figures, any higher-ups ever died of AIDS, shows you that they've always had a cure. There's always been a cure. There's always been, and probably a relatively easy one. Because, so many of these closet politicians and all this, they're having lots and lots of gay sex, and they've never gotten the AIDS. They went through the whole 80s, 90s epidemic portion, and you've never heard of a politician dying of AIDS, especially not a politician that was supposed to be straight dying of AIDS because they had the closet gay sex. I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's possible that all of those closet politicians and higher ups, they just got lucky. You know, I don't think we look at it very honestly. Let's see. The HIV. The human immunodeficiency virus. Immunodeficiency. That's, I wonder where that word came from. Whoa, whoa. The human immunodeficiency virus are, that is, are two species of lentrivius or lentrivirus, a subgroup of retrovirus that infect humans. Over time, they cause acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or AIDS. Is that true? A condition in which progressive failure of the immune system allows life-threatening, opportunistic infections and cancers to thrive. Without treatment, the average survival time with infection with HIV is estimated to be 9 to 11 years, depending on the HIV subtype. I want to jump straight to the history. You know, this all the rest of this shit. In most cases, HIV is sexually transmitted and occurs by contact with or transfer of blood, pre-ejaculate semen, and vaginal fluids. Non-sexual transmission can occur from an infected mother to her infant during pregnancy, during childbirth by exposure to her blood or vaginal fluid, and through breast milk. I mean, if you don't have the AIDS being born by the woman, you went through the whole process and you didn't get it, but the breast milk could get you. I mean, even in the cesarean section, how could a female make a person inside them that literally is made up of, like, you made the, I don't know, isn't it weird? It's almost like the amniotic sac is like its own universe. You know, it creates a different person. That is just such a crazy thing, and it can create multiple different people, none of which are the same. The ingredients can be the same, you know, the dad could be the same, all that shit. But, I mean, my kids are 19 days apart, birthday-wise. 19 days apart. So obviously, we had a time of year that we could get pregnant. But, you know, the ingredients of him and the kids are so different, it's unreal. And thinking about that whole concept of like a woman can have AIDS but not pass it to the child. Her blood is its blood, but is it, or is it? I mean, the fact that a child can have a different blood type than the mother that's making it. How does that even work? What a crazy.
Nate, set the stove.
I don't know what that even means.
Nate, set the stove.
What does Nate set the stove mean? What does set the stove mean?
Up to the stove and set the clock.
Oh, cool. Nate set the clock on the stove?
Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. Appreciate that. Nate set the stove. You said it like it was a bad, like, Nate set the stove.
Yeah.
What? Now you have to wait an extra half hour. Within these bodily fluids, HIV is present as both free virus particles and virus within infected immune cells. Within these bodily fluids, HIV is present as both free virus particles and virus within infected immune cells. Doesn't even sound like a proper sentence. Research has shown for both same-sex and opposite-sex couples that HIV is not contagious during sexual intercourse without a condom if the HIV-positive partner has a consistently undetectable viral load. Okay. All right, I'm going to go straight into the history. The first news story on an exotic new disease. Exotic. It's exotic. Everybody's getting it. Appeared May 18th, 1981 in the gay newspaper New York Native. When you flip the pages, it's like swish. Gay newspaper. AIDS first was clinically observed in 1981 in the United States. So, there wasn't AIDS anywhere else? The initial cases were a cluster of injection drug users and gay men with no known cause of impaired immunity who showed symptoms of pneumocystis, pneumocystis, I don't know, a pneumonia, PCP or PJP. The later term recognized that the causative agent is now called pneumocystis jovica, a rare opportunistic infection that was known to occur in people with very compromised immune systems. Soon thereafter, researchers at the NYU School of Medicine studied gay men developing a... Okay, but you're the one that just got in trouble.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I was joking around. I knew you were gonna say no.
Oh, well, I keep telling you that joke's not funny every day.
I
So
have to wait till 11.
so Nick gets first pick.
You want to play at 11?
Yes.
Well, I was the one that made
Okay, you can wait till 11:30 then. You want to keep arguing? Many more cases of PJP and K. Oh, wait. The New York Medicine School of Medicine studied gay men developing a previously rare skin cancer called Kaposi's sarcoma, KS. Many more cases of PJP. Okay, I'm not doing this. You guys just want to skip playing altogether. I'm cool with that. Nathan, did you not hear what I just said? Are you seriously going to just try to tell on him for everything now? And Nick, if you can't stop doing what you're doing, you can skip playing. Which you guys both have the option. How's that? It's so funny because again, it feels dumb arguing or like being distracted by and mediating video game bullshit. Because to most people, it's not going to be important. And you know, come on, it's a video game, but it's not that. It's the dynamic going on there. There's a lot more that's happening other than just the video games. Yeah. Many more cases of PJP and KS emerged, alerting U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and a CDC task force was formed to monitor the outbreak. The earliest retrospectively described case of AIDS is believed to have been in Norway, beginning in 1966. Well, that's interesting. I never heard that narrative. In the beginning, the CDC did not have an official name for the disease, often referring to it by way of the diseases that were associated with it. For example, lymphan, lymph, lymphadenopathy, lymphadeno, lymphadenopathy, or lymphadena. No, it's got to be the lymphadenopathy. The disease after which the discoverers of HIV originally named the virus. They also used Kaposi sarcoma and opportunistic infections, the name by which a task force had been set up in 1881. In the general press, the term GRID, which stood for Gay-Related Immune Deficiency, had been coined. Boy, that couldn't be a thing, huh? I mean, it's just such a strange thing. And of course, I'm not going to find like the actual history of it. The CDC, in search of a name and looking at infected communities, coined the 4-H disease, as it seemed to single out homosexuals, heroin users, hemophiliacs, and Haitians. Jesus Christ. Homosexuals, heroin users, hemophiliacs, and Haitians. Very undesirables. However, after determining that AIDS was not isolated to the gay community, it was realized that the term GRID was misleading, and AIDS was introduced at a meeting in July of 1982. By September 1982, the CDC started using the name AIDS. In 1983, two separate research groups led by American Robert Gallo and French investigators Francois Barré Senoussi and Luc Montagnier, I guess it'd be Montagnier, developed, or independently declared that a novel retrovirus may have been infecting AIDS patients and published their findings in the same issue of the Journal of Science. Like, okay. You see what I mean? Like, how many of you honestly believe that independently a research team headed by Robert Gallo in America, small little America, and then a French team were studying the same thing, came up with the same conclusion, wrote out the same the same paper, and then published it in the same monthly, weekly, same journal, in the same issue of the journal Science. The Science magazine is that a first published in 1880. Weekly. It's a weekly publication. So the same week, because of course, shit's easy to do. Science was founded by New York journalist John Michael in 1880, of course, 1880, such a pivotal year, with financial support from Thomas Edison, and later from Alexander Graham Bell. Right, the two guys in competition with each other. Edison received favorable editorial treatment in return without disclosure of the financial relationship at a time when his reputation was suffering due to delays producing the promised commercially viable light bulb. In 1880. I just love thinking about these things. Like, okay. So the weekly journal, Science, is produced at a place, because he was a journalist, meaning he had worked for a previous newspaper, I would assume. And he got his journalism credentials from whatever journalism school there was. I mean, it's 1880. So the camera exists, but it's hefty. And somehow this guy is riding around on horseback because, doing interviews and like just thinking about how nonsensical things have to be from that time. Like, if a car accident happens and you have 10 witnesses, right? Those 10 witnesses, depending on where they were standing and what they were doing at the time, will have 10 similar accounts, but there will be glaring differences in each person's account. Now, if you wait 10 days and you interview those same 10 people, even you re-interview those same 10 people, a lot of their stories will be different 10 days later. 10 months later, those stories are going to be pretty drastically different. People will talk about, was it a blue car? It was a blue no, it was a green car. Green car, which one went for 10 years later, they're going to barely remember that shit. Yeah, let's see. Let's see that one car. I was at the intersection of, I was with, and it was a dude. No, it was a chick. Was it a dude driving and a chick? Like, that's, you just won't remember it. Sure. I'm sorry, I'm not how you prefer your dudes to look today. So when you think about these narratives that are given to you, like the idea of the reporter back in 1880, however he hears about said story, he then has to go ride his horse to wherever this story took place. I mean, it's funny because, like, in thought, he's staying in, sleeping in a tent or something on the side of the road, like on the side of the path, because there's not roads, because it's 1880. But according to history, he could be riding through a gigantic metropolis and staying in the most glamorous hotel you can fucking imagine while his horse was parked outside. I mean, it's just so hard for me to do this anymore. It's so hard for me to include some sort of historical reference or because the more I watch shit like Lucius Aurelian and My Lunch Breaks and Mind Unveiled, and but especially the first two, like Lucius Aurelian and My Lunch Break really do focus on the living evidence, the evidence that exists. It's out there. You can see it with your own fucking eyes if you can make it there. If you can't, they do the videos on it, and then they side by side with the footage of what they're talking about. They use the dreaded source, Wikipedia. to find the history that they want us to know about the thing. And you just see the same, the fire story, the use of the same names, the same, like there are certain guys in history who were supposedly all over the United States designing and building gigantic fucking, hundreds of buildings are attributed to them. It's just not possible. We're talking about these narratives that we're given, and what are the chances that the reporter shows up shortly thereafter whatever incident took place, and then these people are telling the truth? Because again, it's like, are they the uneducated? There weren't schools. Everyone was homeschooled by women who weren't allowed to be educated, but somehow could educate the kids while also, doing everything to keep the household running, which included making everything from scratch and shit, because wasn't like there was grocery stores. But then there was, but it was, I mean, it's just crazy. Our history is comical. It's like the Bible comical, where if you don't have faith, once you lose the faith, all those things that you used to just overlook because of the faith, those things now become the holes, and you end up focusing heavily on those holes. And so you start seeing these, I mean, it's like insulting. It's like either I'm stupid, like either I believe that Russia is this big badass superpower that rivals the United States, or I believe Ukraine, Kiev, is successfully fighting off Russia. Like, Russia's the big bad. That's like, the United States trying to take over New Jersey and not being able to do it. It just is stupid. What are you talking about? Or, if you need a different reference, the Baja region of Mexico. Well, we want that whole thing, so we're going to take that. And then we can't, because they're just successfully fighting us off. Like, it's fucking stupid. It's insulting. Our history is insulting. So Science is the peer-reviewed academic journal of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. In one of the world's top academic journals, it was first published in 1880, is currently circulated weekly, and has a subscriber base of around 130,000. Because institutional subscriptions and online access serve a larger audience, its estimated readership is over 400,000 people. Science was founded by the New York journalist John Michaels in 1980 with financial support from Thomas Edison and later Alexander Graham Bell. Blah, blah, blah. However, the journal never gained enough subscribers to succeed and ended publication in March 1882. Okay. Alexander Graham Bell and Gardner, his name is Gardner Green Hubbard. His name is Gardner Green Hubbard, bought the magazine rights and hired young entomologist Samuel H. Scudder to resurrect the journal 1 year later. I mean, I just think it failed. It was a failed publication. it never seemed to be successful. So where is this determination to rebuild it from? Ukraine is a massive country with vehement fighters. I think it's BS. We were funding a foreign war, but Ukraine isn't some weak. Oh, okay, buddy. You know, because you've been there. You're well aware of how it all works, I'm sure. You watch Fox News, you support Trump, you do what you need to do, and it's all true. It's all Ukraine is fighting off Russia. Gotcha. Gotcha. Where the large population of Jays live. And the funniest thing about Ukraine is, like, when it comes to I have my moments throughout the day where I think, why do I even fucking bother? And I'm watching a video yesterday. There's a video where it shows like Gaza before, and it's this panoramic view from a high place, and it shows this vibrant, beautiful fucking city. Not some desert, not some bullshit. It's beautiful. And then the video pans back the other way, and it says Gaza now, and you just see it looks like a bomb went off. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. It's just disgusting what's being done, and that's why you do what you do. You do it because it's the right thing to do. You don't have to get any benefit out of it. Although, if we stop funding Israel, we're going to get a lot more benefit out of that money. But, understanding that our narrative is completely spoon-fed to us. And that, especially the Israel stuff, is fed to us in the best light for Israel possible. They have lots of dumb Jays there, trying to, whose job it is to spin the story to make it work out in Israel's favor. And I think they do that a lot. But then they say things like, if you open the books on Israel, you demonize Israel. Because there is no other truth. You can't, you can't, you can't support Israel with any good conscience. You have to understand you're just an absolute piece of shit. There's nothing good, nothing okay, nothing, it's 100% bad. Let's see. But this whole idea of these stories, these narratives we're given. I know the trolls, they're not going to watch Hollywoodism because Hollywoodism is going to prove me right. And they don't need any more of that. But there's a video, a movie that was made in 1998, 96 or 98, can't remember. See what I mean? Give it some time and little details fall away. It was made by them, and it was this braggadocious video, this braggadocious movie telling you that they created everything. It's the American dream is really the J dream, is what they say. And they've created the way that you think. They control how you think. And by controlling how you think, the what that you think is just, it's secondary. It's easy to do. They control you thinking that you're not supposed to say anything about a genocide. That Trump is passing legislation to destroy freedom of speech on college campuses where it belongs more than anything. But Trump is passing the legislation that says, well, he's already done it. He already did it back in the first presidency, the Tuesday after Kobe died. But now, you have to understand that these colleges and universities, these are not only is it the lower end schools, but it's the pinnacle of education. It's the Ivy Leagues, Harvard and Yale and all these, these top universities. The kids are coming out and protesting Israel's genocide, and that's free speech. It's freedom of speech. The First Amendment, freedom of speech, the right to protest. Like, we have a right to protest. We have a right to redress our government and redress our grievances with our government. And Trump is literally attacking free speech. And it's only the richest, most powerful people that can send their kids to Harvard and Yale and all that shit. Famous people and whatnot. So where are they? Not only are they not defending their children, but they're also not speaking out against their children either. But the United States government, the revenue generators, are arresting their children for doing constitutionally protected activities. I told you guys this many times prior to the summer of last year when the kids went home, and then when they came back and kept protesting, that the news learned its lesson and they didn't cover it as well. But I've been telling you, this is one of, if not the biggest story in the United States right now. That the next generation is being told, they're not allowed to have the same freedoms and everything that all those soldiers are out there dying for. All the bullshit propaganda that you've been given about how America is great because of free speech is being destroyed by your buddy Trump to protect a foreign country. And he I mean, obviously Trump's just doing what he's told. But like this is just insane. This is insane. When I don't understand, what's it going to take for you to realize, like, you're under attack? They're taking away free speech. And they're trying to force the next generation into believing something that they clearly don't. They clearly oppose. Are we making it? And this is the same Trump that pardoned all those guys who did January 6th. That protest, those violent protests, where they attacked the government, literally attacked, kicked in the doors, and surprisingly nobody got shot. And they smeared shit on the walls, and all that was, Trump's cool with that. Like, this is so crazy. Do you guys realize that? Again, something I've been telling you for a long time, and I guess I was crazy before, but it's starting to come out more and more. Business owners are not allowed in multiple states, like 26 states or something like that. 26 states have already passed it. Another 15 or some shit are in the process of passing it, saying that if you're a business owner, you're not allowed to boycott Israel. You can boycott the U.S. government. You could boycott other states in the United States. There are no laws preventing you from exercising freedom of speech against any other thing like that. Like the government doesn't demand that you sign this or sign that. Like, it's just nuts, except for Israel. I can't. What are you doing? What's happening here? Why are we... I live in a Trump-supporting town, and everyone is talking about how they dislike Trump. They should be. When are the gas and food prices going to drop? Do you know they're just waiting on that, right? They're just waiting for people to get upset, so then they'll go, oh, look, we'll drop the gas prices 20 cents. We'll drop the gas prices $1. And everybody will go, oh, see, Trump did it, see? And then it'll just slowly creep back up, but it'll work. It'll stroke us just enough. But why hasn't that just happened automatically? I thought that was what was supposed to happen. Supposed to be gas prices and food prices. They're all so high because Biden did it. And it's just, when do you guys wake up and realize, like, they are pitting us against each other for a reason? It just doesn't make any sense that you keep, like, what is it? Is your hatred, your bigotry really that strong that you're willing to overlook our safety and our future because you think, gays are bad people for some reason? Anytime somebody says anything about, I just want to protect the children. Immediately, like, show me the story of the trans or the gay guy, whatever. I mean, you can't even, there's no comparison to the church, where the people take their kids because they trust the church for some fucked up reason. And then, like, of all people in the world who aren't supposed to touch kids, they do. And once they do, even the parents, the community will call the kid a liar until it can be proven. And then as soon as the heat starts getting too much, the church, the diocese of that state that they're in, it's broken up into dioceses. They decide, oh shit, we need to, like, basically like make a trade, like a baseball team, and they just trade him to another smaller place across the country, and they get one in return, and that's it. And then he just goes, the whole story just goes away. But if it doesn't, they hurry up and get that guy over to the Vatican, which has a strict non-extradition policy about, regarding this shit. So, like, it's a well-oiled, well-working machine that has been hurting children way more than any gay, trans, anything could even do. Like, I can't say show me the story where this happens, because there is no all-powerful gay trans organization that is given all this free range, free will to do whatever the fuck they want to do and, get away. Like, there's no comparison there. And yet still, you keep hearing about, I don't want some guy in a dress in the bathroom with my daughter. Show me the stories. Okay. You might know of one story, or maybe they've even orchestrated one story in the last little bit. But show me the history of stories of dudes dressing like chicks so they can go into the bathrooms and violate little girls. It doesn't happen. And it especially doesn't happen even a percentage of as much as that kind of shit happens with the church. I checked your old videos. Plenty with over 10K viewers. Exactly. Why? What would I lie for? Do you realize how stupid I would look lying about something so obvious? All you have to do is go look. It's there. You know, if I wasn't telling the truth, you'd come in here and be like, that's not true. Stop talking about gays. No. I'll talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. And your bigotry doesn't dissuade me at all. It proves the point. This is the same person who will actively, aggressively go after people who just want to live their own lives while completely turning a blind eye. Or maybe you give 10% to the church that continuously violates children, or to the Hollywood that continuously violates children, or to the little girl beauty pageants that continuously violate children, or even Pee Wee football, which causes fucking brain damage, CTE. You don't need to be going super strong, super hard to make one of those hits, to see stars. But you don't see these people at those things. It's just gay stuff. It's the craziest fucking, it's just amazing how the system has manipulated us that way. You know? I mean, lots of people fuck feet. Apparently that's a real big thing because it's made its way into every fucking porn. God damn it, I can't understand it. It's fucking gross. I don't get it at all. But nobody's out there like, hey, that's fucking gross and wrong. We should outlaw feet fuckers. There's something going on here. This distraction is so well organized and been put on you that, I mean, feet are so gross. And you would think it would be a big fucking deal, but it's not, because you haven't been told to be upset about that. You only believe what you're told to believe. Completely. Yes, I was completely unhinged talking about fluoride in the water and reading the studies to you. Yeah. That makes you completely unhinged because you know things. It's not constantly shoved in your face. What a dumb thing to say. Where do you live where people are constantly shoving gay in your face? Maybe you should not live in a super gay area like that, I guess. What do you live in Ferndale and you're like, yeah, I live in San Francisco and all this gay stuff is around me. They should cater to my feelings. Oh, these people, they being celebrated straight, they would be called bigot. Right, you're one of those white guys. I get it. Right? Like, you don't understand that oppression for fucking generations leads to, a rebound, leads to the pendulum swing. I'm a white guy. Like white guys don't have to brag. The president is always white. The leadership is always catered. Everything is catered. You don't have to come up with a BET because MTV is already there and VH1 is already there. Oh, they play black music. Yeah, they get that little half hour MTV raps. After years and years of denying it, Michael Jackson was the first black artist played on MTV, and it's because the J at the top that had a bunch of bands and knew the potential threatened to not only leak that MTV was racist to, the J's at the top of MTV were racist, but he was going to pull all his other bands if they didn't let Michael Jackson, Billie Jean come out. And it turns out to be the smartest thing they ever did, blah, 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 blah. But it's there is no reason for white or straight people to have, it's like the whole Black Lives Matter thing, right? It's all lives matter, dude. All lives matter, dude. So black people be like, hey, notice that because it doesn't seem like anybody cares. Unarmed black men were getting killed left and right by police at a time there. That's when Black Lives Matter came out, and it was a cry. Black Lives Matter. You're treating us like we don't matter. And white people just could not deal with that. All lives matter, bro. All lives matter, bro. I'm super progressive. All lives matter, bro. I can't say that phrase, Black Lives Matter, bro. It's the stupidest fucking shit. It just shows you how ignorant and racist you are. Saying Black Lives Matter doesn't diminish anyone else's, it's not saying other lives don't matter. But that's how you have to argue it because you just don't have any real anything. Oh, fluoride in the water is fine at safe levels. Right. It's fine that they put fucking fertilizer byproduct, toxic waste into the drinking water at a 3% because it has a 3% chance of maybe preventing cavities when it all comes down to it. And because you believe the narrative you're given, that should be it. You don't think it's possible that there's all sorts of other complications associated with fluoride being put in the drinking water. Cancers and mental issues, skin issues, all kinds of shit that we just haven't been told to attribute to the fluoride. Because it literally has no quantifiable or provable effect on preventing cavities. I read the studies. There's no debate. I test water for a living. You have no fucking leg up on this one. You don't know more than the Cochrane study that did it and found out that it didn't do and the fact is, you need a study to tell you that putting toxic waste byproduct in drinking water is a bad idea. Somebody produces fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, and in doing so, they have this big vat of toxic waste. And they can't bury it, they can't do anything with it, but they need to dispose of it. So they figure out a way to sell it to the government to be put into the drinking water. Like, this is just, it's fucking insane. And yet, no, the gay people are the problem. Gays are the problem. Like, to think that we can be distracted when the Jays are who do all this horrible shit to us, and we end up getting in fucking, you end up being distracted by nonsense. There are complications at high concentrations. Because as a water tester, you are also a scientist who goes around and checks all of these different things to know if they're associated with fluoride. Or you were told that this is a safe level for it to be at, so that makes it true. By the J government that lies about everything. Like, this is the arrogance that is so hard to get through. You somehow think you have more information than you actually do. And like I said, just the fact that, like, fertilizer byproduct in drinking water doesn't immediately say, no, that's a bad idea to you. It really does say a lot to me. I guess, in our society where you believe what you're told, which I don't get because our society has a rich, rich history of lying to us. But in the society where you believe what you're told, like, where does common sense come in? When do you protect yourself with simple common sense? Yeah. I'm not saying you have problems with him. I'm saying the distraction of LGBT is the problem that people want to focus on instead of the idea that, like, and it's just as simple, right? With the LGBT stuff, LGBTQ, RST, LNE, I don't know. I support it all, whatever. But it'd be so much easier if your acronym made a word. The raisin community or some shit. It'd be a lot easier. RAZIN. But the fact is, like gay and trans, it's a no-brainer, right? Of course they should have equal rights. Why shouldn't they? What makes who you stick your dick in or get stuck in, like, what does that, why would that matter in the slightest bit? And when you understand that the same system that's been telling you forever that gay is bad is also the same system that puts fluoride in your water. It is also the same system that is committing genocide right now. It is also the same system that continuously rapes not just children, like people in Hollywood and in the entertainment industry. And then we just keep jumping from thing to thing. It's all the same people. I tell myself all the time I shouldn't be distracted by the distractions. But these are the examples. I don't know how much more I can provide you. No one actually cares about LGBT, just don't like having to hear about it. Who gives a fuck? What are you talking about having to hear? Like, see, this is that arrogant nonsense. I don't like having to hear about it all the time. What world are you in where you're hearing about it all the time? It's so stupid. It's such a like weak justification for you not being able to say, "Oh, I think it's gross." Which is something that we should all be able to say, because I know gay dudes think vaginas are gross. That's okay. I don't take offense to it. I know if I wasn't attracted to them, I'd be like, "Whoa, that's a little weird." I mean, it's really like pretty simple shit that because we allow ourselves to be so distracted in all these different ways, we don't realize how easy the manipulation is to see. I mean, that sounds like you got a problem, Wally. Right, exactly. Yeah, I think it's gross. Cool. Do you like watching like straight people then? So like when a man and a woman are sitting on the park bench next to you just making out and going at it, you're like, "Oh, that's really great. I really like that. That's beautiful." Uh-huh. No. Like squeeze her tit a little bit. Oh yeah, that's good. Is that what you do? It's about the kids, says a stupid person. We just go right back in the circle. Show me the stories of the gay, trans, violating children even close to as much as the church that you happily ignore. Probably belong to. I'd love to hear your evidence for this. It's pretty much promoted as trendy to kids here. It's promoted as kids to... What example do you have of that? You say dumb shit, so I want to hear your explanation for the dumb shit. What are you basing this on? It's not promoted in any way. How the fuck does the church violate children? Wow. Wow. You're dumb. I don't even know where to go with that one. Countless stories from not just church, but then you also, like, the one thing that arrogant racist white people love to do is forget that every single thing, be it good or bad, unless it's like black on black or black person does this, whatever, white people do it more. White people commit more crimes. White people are more, there are more white people on welfare. You know, what it's everything that's worse is white, and everything that's bad, except for like, you know, basketball and sports and stuff where there's some sort of competition in that regard. Where literally like your best is on display. And if you're like, it's not a mental thing, it is to some degree, but it's physical. Like if you're physically better than this guy, well then you get that position. Doesn't seemingly work that way. Kids wouldn't even think about it, but it's shoved in their face too. Where, see, you just keep saying dumb shit, but there's no basis for what you're saying. What is shoved in kids' faces? You don't even have kids. You don't know what you're talking about. I have 2 kids who are middle schoolers right now. So they've been around for the last 10 years. They've been in schools. And gay stuff is not pushed in their faces by anything other than their peers. It's just so stupid that people say these just stupid things to justify their bigotry and them being distracted. You put so much energy and hatred into something that is fucking does not matter at all. My wife's friend Daisy, like, you know, she said to my wife, like, I hope Guy knows how much I appreciate his acceptance and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, the honest truth is I don't give a shit. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care about any of that shit. As long as you don't fuck with kids and don't hurt people against their will, I don't care what you do. And I think that's, you know, that's the ultimate sort of, like, I don't care if you're straight. I don't care if you know, I don't care about lots of different elements or aspects of, I hear it. Thank you. People's relationship. I have kids. It's a mental thing, 8 and 2. So when are your face? Give me some examples. Guarantee is, yeah. When is it shoved in your face? How is it shoved in your face? How is it shoved in your face any more than heterosexual shit is shoved in the kids' faces? Like, it's just silly to think that your kids are... Do you not remember what it's like to be a kid? As a boy, as an 8-year-old boy, I remember what we were doing and saying on the playgrounds and shit. We had no idea what we were talking about, but we said things. But the stupidity of thinking that you know, that your kid could see gay or experience like somebody reading them a book or something, and somehow that's going to make them gay. If you think people can be turned gay, you're really, really dumb. You going outside or what? Come on. No? Okay, then don't. Listen for the dog. Actually, I'll be right down anyway. Don't worry about it. I don't care. But again, it's being promoted. So the idea that it's okay to be gay being promoted bothers you. The stupidity in thinking anything. Like, again, to think that you could be tricked into thinking, maybe I'll be gay and put dicks in my mouth. That just sounds nuts to me. There's nothing. You know? You're crazy. Promoted in what way? Right. I've already asked these questions multiple times, and those never get answered. You know, you don't ever get the answers to those questions. They just say these things like, you know, like it's a reasonable argument. Like, it would be a problem, right? But it would be a problem in any case. If teachers or whatever were promoting you to have sex and, oh, you should be gay and, you know, that, or you should be straight, whatever. either way, it would be wrong. So, what is this narrative we're talking about? It's about. So you'll just repeat yourself because you don't have a real answer. And I mean, you know, I don't have a problem admitting it. Like, I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you make it easier. You prove that point. You know, you don't have a legitimate argument. You're just like, I'm a bigot, and that's what it is. And it kind of, it would be one thing if that's really how it worked. If you would just be like, yeah, I'm a bigot, kind of a piece of shit. I guess that's just how it is. That'd be one thing. You push your poison on your children. That's, you know, you know, you just assume because it's funny because by your logic, kids don't find their sexual identity till I guess teenage years or some shit. So you could have a kid that's gay. They just haven't figured it out yet because they don't know because blah blah blah. Even though again, as far back as I can remember, I always thought boobs were fantastic, and I couldn't wait to see them and play with them and all kinds of stuff. And I didn't even know why. I just wanted to super bad. Come on, let's go. Wait. By your logic, your kid could magically, spontaneously, you know, somebody could walk by him when he's gay. Somebody gay could walk by him and he could catch the gay from that person. And then he could be gay. And you've been spending all this time like actively pushing hatred on your children. Come on. Boy, that's not going to work out well. But you're going to swear it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like the most promotion there is for kids are like pride flags and gay characters. Yeah, but that's not promotion. That's acceptance. That's tolerance. That's saying that, you know, there's going to be gay characters because there are gay characters in life. Because there are gay kids watching this. Wife's friend Daisy said there was never a question of whether Daisy was going to be gay or not. These are people who just, there's no even faking it. They couldn't even pull off a good fake. Their mannerisms are that of, they're feminine. They're just feminine mannerisms. You know, they're things that you just don't do when you're a dude. Well, when you're a heterosexual dude. So what's the problem with pride flags and gay characters for kids? It's not like a kid finding out they're gay is a bad thing. Well, this guy, Wally's a bigot like that. He thinks so. And see, this is the other thing. Like, so you say you'll walk this line, right? Because you'll pretend like the kids are these completely empty vessels. They don't know anything. They're not talking about that stuff. And when they're 8 years old or 10 years, they don't know anything about sex, blah, blah, blah. And then you go, okay, well, you realize when you say gay to a kid, the kid doesn't go, oh yeah, penises and butts and mouths and butts and stuff, right? You mean gay like that? When you tell a young kid what gay is, a lot of little boys will go, you know, when you say gay is when boys like boys, they go, okay, well, I'm gay then because I don't like those stupid girls. And you're like, no, not like that. You know how mommies and daddies like each other? Yeah. Well, boys like mommies and daddies like each other. You mean they kiss and stuff? Yeah. Ew. Okay, I want to go watch TV. Or they go, oh, what's that like? you know. But that's not how, kids aren't thinking about it the way that your gross adult mind thinks. And if they are, like you say, no, they totally are. Well, then they are straight as well, and they know what they're doing. You know, I know that when I was, well, so 8 years old would be what, second, third grade. I mean, I was a latchkey kid. My mom worked a lot. And I lived in a huge apartment complex that had one huge trash compactor that everybody used. And there would be porn in that shit all the time. Porn magazines and all that shit we'd find it in the garbage all the time. But we didn't know details and shit. And I can tell you, being a kid and looking at like, it was one thing to see a Playboy and it was like a pretty picture made to like accentuate the girl and make her look pretty. To see the hustlers and stuff like that, where these little where the barely legals or whatever, where the girls are like spread open and shit. As a kid, I was like, whoa, oh no, that looks terrifying. I had no idea, you know. But pretending that pride flags at council buildings, LGBT parades, rainbow murals on council buildings, and support. So how does that promote it? Like you don't seem like you're really letting your ignorance shine here, because you don't seem to know what promotion means. You know, that's tolerance, that's acceptance. And how does that? So you think that if your kid sees a rainbow flag, the rainbow is going to have some sort of magical spell on them and make them gay? I can't rationalize your reasoning here. It just doesn't sound very smart. What's the problem with those things? I get some pride parades can be provocative and there's a discussion to be had, but kids aren't forced to go there. Right. Why would your kid be at a gay pride parade in the first place? Why are you taking your young kids to gay pride parades and then being upset by what you're seeing? Especially understanding that this is relatively new. In 10, 15 years, when gay is just sort of no big deal, big ass gay pride parades are going to become less and less prominent. The only reason those exist is to fuck with people like you. To make you uncomfortable, to make you deal with your dumb bigotry. And I know, oh, well, there are people that take things too far and they'll have their bits and pieces out. And it's like, yeah, okay, but why are you at a gay pride parade? You know, there's a pretty good chance you're going to see that. How about, as people, we stop trying to demonize the human body with some Christian bullshit, making it a big deal. Like, maybe if we stop making the female body such a crazy taboo thing that we can't talk about, we can't look at, blah, maybe there'll be a lot less sexual assault. It's not that big a deal. Getting laid is not that big a deal. I mean, I guess if you haven't, it is, but it's not that big a deal. I prefer when LGBT isn't on the agenda. Who cares what you prefer? That's what I just don't understand. Why would you matter? You're fine to think it's gross personally, but that's not really an argument. No one is harmed. Exactly. Did you used to get You used to get the expired throw out ones with the cut covers. Did you used to get the. What are you even talking about? See, I mean, it seems like look at the difference, right? You have the gay person who is asking questions, acknowledging what the other person said, making reasonable points. And then you have the bigot who's like, but I don't like it. Don't I don't like those flags. I don't rainbow. For me it was weird. The one thing I can say about the whole flag thing is it was a little confusing. Because when I was a little kid, I used to love drawing rainbows and shit. I thought they were cool. I loved rainbows. So then when the gay stuff came out, it's like, aw, can't do rainbows anymore. You guys took over rainbows. But I like that you took rainbows from Christianity, so that works for me. My coworkers didn't find out I was gay for years. I got promoted to wet chemistry manager based on my skill. Yes, it's published in government jobs here. What are you talking about? The gays hijacked the rainbows from the hippies. Well, the agenda was pushed in a way. It doesn't just happen, especially pre-internet days. Everything is manufactured. But the fact is, Hollywood, the government, all that has always been extremely gay, and yet it's the same system that promotes all this anti-gay hatred. Like, it's really weird. Where does that self-hatred come from? Where does that... I don't know, man. It's just strange. Not really. It's not pushed in the U.S. despite what some people think about DEI. See, you just keep saying the same nonsense, and you've proved the point. You mentioned that there are flags being flown. So, like, you're saying you don't care, but when people exist, and because people are like, are you jealous that there's not a straight flag? Would you fly a straight flag? Is that your thing? The fact that you would need to fly a straight flag, I don't know, man. It's just weird. But are we talking to somebody? You say you're Australian, so do you have Aboriginal descent, or are you just some white guy? I used to be conservative, but have similar thoughts to what you're having, but it's just a lot of hype over nothing. You should be. I mean, you shouldn't be proud to be gay. It shouldn't matter. Being proud of something is something that you should be proud of, an accomplishment. Now, being proud of the fact that you're gay and you live in this society where you don't give a fuck what they say, that's a whole different thing. I'm proud to overcome societal stereotypes telling me I shouldn't exist, and like that's one thing. That I can live in this society and not have a bunch of hangups and shit. I'm proud of that. It took a lot of work to get there. That's one thing. But to just be proud to be gay is like being proud to be straight. But at the same time, again, I get it though. Because just like black and brown pride, which is stupid, but when you talk about the generations of hate and shame that was put on them, where they weren't supposed to feel pride, as the pendulum swings and there's the obvious response is, no, fuck you, I am proud of myself. But it is just more kind of bullshit. I'm not really proud of being gay, it's just my life. Exactly. That's what it is. I'm very proud to be gay and will continue to be proud, right? Because I guess you don't understand what's going on. But it's because of the the other side. Like if you want like black people in Western society can't actually be racist. I'm letting you get mad. Black people can be prejudiced as fuck, no doubt about it. But racism is a societal control. Racism is being able to decide how much money is allocated here or there. You know, how much money goes into this school, where the best roads are, where the police go, and all that. That's racism. Prejudice is often a result of racism. You know, brown, black, Asian prejudice towards white people is very justified as long as white racism continues to exist. But the thing is, the white racism is just the cover, because the true puppet masters are the Jays, who hate us all, but pit us against each other out of distraction. It's because the gay propaganda, yep. See, again, how can somebody be so stupid that they think they can, like, obviously you have some gay stuff that you're not addressing inside of you. And I really wish you could do that. That's the worst part about this, is all of these I wouldn't even call them closet. They're like, they don't even realize it, right? If you think you can be tricked into being gay, convinced into being gay, propagandized into being gay, like if you think anything like that, if you think gay is even slightly a choice, then it must be for you. And I'm really sorry. I'm not even like trying to make fun or anything right now. I am very genuinely sorry that you have to deal with that shit, and that you're not comfortable enough to be who you are and deal with it. There's absolutely no choice when it comes to being gay. I absolutely think dicks are gross. Like my wife and friend were kind of talking about it yesterday, and they were saying, well, people can fall in love with the person and this, that, and the other. And I was like, no, it's a parts thing. It's parts. I said, because Daisy's gorgeous. Like, as far as a gay, like, looks like a girl kind of, like, if Daisy would have been born a girl, she would have been a gorgeous girl. Daisy's the type of girl that if you were real drunk at a bar and you weren't quite paying attention, you might actually fall for it. Who knows? But Daisy wouldn't do that. She's not that type of person, for sure. That's predator regardless of orientation. But the idea that like that person, well, that was weird. I would, if I could choose to, be like, fuck that, I'm gonna live with a dude, and we're gonna have dude life and dude sex and dude this, and yeah, that I'd do that. But it's parts. Dicks are gross. Dudes are gross. I think dudes are gross. I can understand why a woman would find, certain dudes attractive, or, I know what a good looking dude looks like. I'm not stupid. Especially like if you're well built and stuff like that. I'm impressed by that. So if I'm impressed by that, I'm sure that's something that females are attracted to. It just seems like kind of common sense, right? But that's not how we're taught. And again, if you think there's more to it, you think you can be shown enough flags, or you think enough legislation can pass that you would be like, fuck it, I guess I'll give it a try. Like, what are you talking about? That's just weird. You're not about CDC study, Sean. And yeah, that stat is right, but with more acceptance comes more people being comfortable with it. Right. This is like that thought that gays haven't always been there. You know, that's just the thing that's so goofy. Gay has the same amount of people have always been gay. It's just nowadays you can live that way without worrying about being killed, beaten up, harassed, killed, you know, lobotomized. For a long time, the United States would find out you were gay and lobotomize you, would lock you up in institutions. That the whole history of gay in that regard is very, very well kept secret. Like it's covered up. So yeah, a lot of people hid what they were. But gay clubs, gay bathhouses and shit, those all exist. They always have. It's so crazy. It's so crazy how ignorant people are. Thinking that something so disgusting could be a choice. You know? And I say that because again, I know that I asked Daisy the other day, like, how much would I have to pay you to put your face in a vagina? And she was like, you don't have enough fucking money. You know, poor as I am, and blah blah blah. No way, that's gross. Doesn't mean she thinks my wife is gross, cause she has one. Like it's so strange. It's so strange that we've been taught that we're not allowed to think that way. I think Daisy's awesome. I think there's she's a great person and blah blah blah. I could never get drunk enough to let anything happen, let alone, you know, I just, it's all gross. And she's beautiful, right? She's beautiful, but that's a dude. That dude has a penis. Like, I'm good. I'm good. You know? And I think it's okay. It's not a choice. It's nurture, not nature. Yeah, except for the fact that gay exists all throughout the animal kingdom. What kind of stupid, like, just, oh, the ignorance is just so frustrating. Around 1900, there was less stigmatization and being left-handed. There was a surge in the number of people who were left-handed. But even it was that went on much later. My grandmother-in-law was right-handed because they made her be because they made her be. She was left-handed, but they used to tie her left hand behind her back and made her become right-handed. Because of Greeks and curses and all that kind of stupid shit. So that actually went a lot later than just the 1900s. It wasn't because left-handed people were having more kids. It's because people could finally use their left hand and not be considered demons and blah blah blah. Yeah, she's right. I think you're a she. I'm not really sure. Or he, right? I'm tired of having a girlfriend, and I've tried having a girlfriend, and while she was a great person, but I didn't love her in that way. I just can't imagine how you could possibly have sex with someone and not be a like and I I can't imagine like how could you even keep it up having sex with her? You must have had to close your eyes real hard. Picture dudes. But Gordon Flowers, I hate that fucking guy. I love what he does, but I hate that fucking guy, Big Dumb J. Um, he rocked a shirt the other day that said all porn is gay porn, and he's right. It's true. Like, you know, Ron White did that joke where when you're watching porn, do you want to see a small, stubby, flaccid little cock? And it's like, no, I want to see a big, thick, hard cock. Oh. And that's true. You don't want to see some tiny penis when you're watching porn. You know, the guy can't get it up in the porn, and you're like, what's going on with you, dude? What's wrong? Get the fuck out of here. Why are you even making this video? Watching other dudes get sucked off is pretty gay. Watching other dudes bang other broads is gay. Watching dudes bang broads in the butt is gay. Getting that close-up viewpoint where you're looking at the balls, shit, and the dude's asshole and all that, I always hated that view. When you think about it, it's pretty gay. Go give it a try. Why would I need to give it a try? I'm comfortable in my sexuality. I don't have a problem with others' sexuality because I'm uncomfortable in mine. Right? Like with that, I know well off, and I would never. Like, it's my idea of hell. I honestly think. I just think about it to be the other way. Like, if I had to pretend to be gay, you know, live my life as a gay man, and I had to be like stereotype. I had to start talking like this all the time, and I had to do that stereotype shit, or at least what I thought was stereotype shit. You know, like the idea of a gay guy, you know, being a macho guy, like like Fonzie, like like a super gay guy's version of a macho guy is Fonzie, who's clearly gay, right? But that's, you know, think about it the other way around. Like I had to pretend to be gay. I had to get into a gay relationship. I had to have gay sex both ways. You know, I had to give head and shit. Ugh. I can't imagine having to do that to fit into society, to be accepted, to you know, appease my parents or whatever it is. That would be horrible. I can't imagine how gay dudes can pretend to fuck broads. That's got to be really weird. You know, I mean, at the same time, I kind of can't understand how you can't find a chick's body to be amazing. So maybe I don't know. I don't know. A lot of times those gay guys have big fat girlfriends. So it's not even like the chick's super hot. They just have this beard. You know, that's where the term beard comes from. It's from something called the production codes in the 30s, when the Jays realized Hollywood's power. And Hollywood had been making all these movies where the gangsters were winning. And so the mafia that they created to cover up for the Purple Gang, you know, for the J mafioso, that's who ran all the alcohol through during Prohibition. They needed to cover that up. So they created the Italian mobsters. And, you know, you guys can be this group. You can police things the way you want. You know, you just got to kick up to us. You have all the protections you need. Just keep it out of the J neighborhoods. Keep it with the blacks. You know, keep the drugs with the black, blah, blah, blah. They were given that whole mafioso personality. And then Hollywood made all these movies about how great they were. And they sort of created this Robin Hood character where people believed the Italian mobster was robbing from the rich Jays and giving to the poor people in the community. And so it essentially made the people, you know, root for the bad guy over the cops. And so under the guise of this being sort of one of the main drivers is that they wanted to make it so that Hollywood wasn't allowed to do that anymore, and that they had to do they had to make the police always win, and they had to, you know, they had to portray the bad guys as the bad guys. It had to be a linear story, so to speak, right? Uh, they also threw a bunch of other shit in there. Come on, Nate, just help him with.
I'm defending the one place where if it falls, we lose.
Okay, well that's a necessity, dude.
Oh yeah. No, we don't need it.
Nick, that's one of the necessities.
It's not. I do it all the time. We did it before.
Okay, Nate, just go then do it whatever, and if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. Okay, so go do. He didn't say it like that. But go ahead and do whatever you want then. The only reason you know that that's what happens is because it happened. You had to screw up once or twice. So if that's how that works, that's how that works.
We already did this mission and won.
Okay, well then, come on, Nate, don't be a butt. Nate, you're being a butthole. Stop it. Okay. I don't even remember what I was saying. No, I shouldn't be told I'm not allowed. I think. Well, you're a bigot. Your thought process is a disgusting, awful one. And you are allowed to think how you want to think, but to push that on your children especially is a horrible thing. To create another round of bigots who are distracted by something instead of unifying with, half the population and then turning against the J Masters who make our lives the shit pots they are. You're just pushing your hatred. Like you're talking about hating people for being born a certain way. And that's a problem. You weren't born this bigot, you were made this bigot. At the end of the day, you shouldn't care at all. But seeing a rainbow flag just ruins your whole day. It says a lot about you. Yours that differ from yours doesn't automatically make them ignorant. No, but after many, many arguments given, while also giving you the floor to make your arguments and you failing on multiple occasions, makes you ignorant. You can turn into standard troll mode if you want to. But the truth is you had every opportunity in the world to make any sort of reasonable argument. Not only was I calling you out, but there was another LGBTQ person here calling you out. And you didn't say anything but dumb shit. Dumb, ignorant shit. Well, I just don't like it. But it's the kids. It's the kids. Like, it's just stupid. Yeah, it happens during puberty. No, it does. Like, you are dumb. It does not happen during puberty. You think that kids are just like la-di-da-di-da-di, and then puberty hit you. Do you have kids? Because that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I knew my kids weren't gay very early on. My one kid did think he might be gay, but because he had no idea what it was, he thought it was boys like boys. But the whole sex part of it, you want to kiss boys? No. Like that sort of ended that shit. But it's just it's so stupid. It's not DNA, it's nurture. People who were graped are way more likely to be gay. No, they're not. They're just not. It's more likely that people that rape kids see something in them that is more enticing. They either see because again, like if you pretend like you can't tell that a kid's gay at 5-6 years old, or you can't tell that kid's gonna be a little lady killer at 5-6 years old just because they already have game. Like this is that ignorant stupidity that is just so hard to deal with. To think that somebody can be, I guess again they're blank slates until puberty, and then at puberty if a transgender person reads them a book, well then they're gonna turn transgender. Like it's just such stupid shit. This is the best argument that this person's gonna have. Kids with older brothers are more likely. What? Oh my God. Kids with older brothers are more likely to be gay. That's dumb. Because at the same time, you'll be like, guys raised by women, if a guy's raised by his mom and his sisters, he's more likely to be gay too. Just dumb shit. You're allowed to think what you want, that's fine. You can think that being gay is gross if you want. Just don't tell me I can't hold hands or give a kiss to my boyfriend in public. Exactly. We claim that rape victims are more likely to gay is something I've never seen in any study. I've never seen any studies for. Right. They just say dumb shit. But see, this is what you don't realize is you do the same thing when it comes to the fluoride stuff. Right? You were given a base set of information that you're then, going off of. Who gave you that information? You don't know. Came from somewhere, told you that this percentage was okay to put in fucking, toxic waste in water. And you just went, oh, okay. This dumbass was told that people aren't allowed to love each other because you don't like it. They can't actually, they can answer just as much as you can answer because I have faith, basically. I think Kinsey did studies on that. It's correlation most. No, you're just talking nonsense. You wanted to make it sound like you were all scientific, and now you get called out for it, and turns out you're not. It's always like this on this topic. Of course I do, because I know what it's like dealing with bigots. I also hope that there are some other people that may be struggling or whatever that, or may think a lot like me and not realize that there are people like us out here thinking like this, talking like this. This is how you deal with a bigot. Your YOUR not worth. Now I'm not worth arguing. All the dumb arguments you've made, but now YOUR not worth arguing. I'll never change your view on anything. You'll definitely never turn me into a bigot. You are correct on that. I agree that definitely has a hard time changing his. See, this is the thing. You guys have no idea what you're talking about. You think I got to this point because I just came out of the womb questioning, already knowing that the Jays were the bad guys and talking about all these things.
Lost because he didn't help. No, we just lost because you died. Yeah, because I'm doing all.
Okay, Nathan. The fact that you're playing not at your best is exactly what we're talking about.
First thing.
No, come on. Are you playing like you do when you and I are playing?
No, actually,
You go play. Don't sit there and defend, and you did it anyway, right?
You would have lost. You want to know why? Because I got 426 kills defending. That was
Okay, and if you would have run back and... Why is this such a problem, dude? If it's his game and you're playing on his account, then play the way he wants you to play.
And it is my turn. Also.
Well, you owe him a game. Yeah. I've seen plenty. So what things are you talking about where people have actually engaged to try? Literally, the exact thing that's being done about this is pretty much the height of what I get regarding anything. So if you can give me some examples of things that people have tried to have really good conversations with, let me know. I'd love to hear this. And now you guys are stroking each other as always. Because I'm an adult. No, I changed my mind on lots of things. I didn't, I would have argued with you forever that the earth was round prior to looking into it. In 16 or 17, something like that. 15, I don't know. No, 15. I would have argued with you that you can't say it's the Jays prior to a certain point. I don't know when that actually happened. Just like all of you dumbasses, I believed in dinosaurs. All that shit. Until I learned. But if you're not willing to learn and you're just like, no, but because I don't like it. That's a whole different aspect. But see, you're putting your fucking nonsense on me now. Open-minded and the wind blowing. Well, despite that you say I'm gonna still be gay. You do care. You make a point to point it out all the time that you care. It bothers you. And you teach your kid to be a bigot as well, which is the scariest part. It's like part of me hopes that your kid ends up being gay, or maybe your grandkid ends up being gay or something. But then I don't, because I don't want them to suffer, or your kid to have suffered the wrath of such a bigot for such a long time. That's got to be awful. That's got to be awful. You know, and the thing is, we just keep going in circles where, you know, you make these comments just like everybody else makes the same sort of vague, you know, stereotype societal comments. This is how things are. And you go, okay, but have you actually looked? Do you actually understand what you're saying? Do you have any basis or backup for what you're saying? No. Then I sit here and I read things and I research things and I put these things out. The floor is open. Say what you got to say, blah, blah, blah. And it's still nothing. And yet I'm the one with the closed mind. Anybody wants to tell me why the Jays are anything other than the worst people on earth, I'd love to hear it. Anybody wants to tell me why gay people shouldn't have equal rights, trans people shouldn't have equal rights, I'd love to hear your actual argument. Anybody that actually has an issue with my feed and wants to talk about weird shit one way, if you'd like to tell me why you're here to begin with, I'd love to hear it. But that shit's not going to go. I can't believe you don't believe in space, but you believe in apostrophes? Okay. Yeah. The fact you believe in space just says a lot, man. You like to be distracted by shit, and it's really simple. The concept of space is dumb. That there is a vacuum, like, well, you got to believe in gravity to believe in space. So there's this, because gravity is the thing that holds the whole space narrative together. The force that's weak by 10 to the 28th power, or some 10 to the 36th power, 36 zeros, or whatever. It's fucking silly. It's just silly. It's the weakest force, and it's not, but it holds the universe. It holds the universal narrative together. Like if not for this goofy force that not only makes things revolve around each other, but then makes things stick to each other and makes things swirl and clump, and it's just all so stupid. And it's all happening in a vacuum. It's just stupid. And to think that, like, that you would believe this when there's literally nothing you can do to experience it. You'll never be, you know, you'll never just be taken into the program and shown and flown up and hover around in the space station, and you'll never do that. There are so many videos that exist showing that the whole space station shit, like the glitches or the different times when you can see people's harnesses and shit like that. There's like it's a pretty endless stream of fuck ups. They fucked up. You know, the guy will go to do a flip and the harness will break, or he'll get caught up in it and shit. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing that anybody still falls for it. There's literally documented video evidence of the documented video evidence fucking up and proving that they're lying to us. Proving there's green screens, proving there's hairspray, proving there's all this bullshit. But then again, it's for those of you who haven't gotten past what common sense would tell you. Because the narrative we're given regarding space, regarding, things like the space station and all that other shit is really, really dumb. It really, like, it's interesting to think how it was so effective, but I guess because they've made it so cool, especially with shit like, spaceships and lasers and flying and aliens and all these other things that make space desirable. And instead of it's one of my favorite kind of cartoons where you have the narrative making these, this is the blah 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 blah. But it's amazing to think, like, not only is the narrative of the formation of the planet and stars and all that, not only is it dumb as fuck, but we know it. Like, to think that we actually know how planets and shit formed. The whole story of the Lagrange points from yesterday or the day before. Like, yeah, we were watching it. We were watching Awesome Planet on Friday with Philippe Cousteau. And it was an episode from 2015. And so in 2015, the best technology they had to show us what actual Earth video looks like and blah, 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 by 2025 standards, doesn't quite stand up. And we were laughing at it. Because it's like, you believe this is real. You believe, now that it's 2025 and you're seeing it on your TV that was made after this show was first aired, and, and it looks like a goddamn goofy ass cartoon. Do you honestly believe? You honestly believe that you're seeing that? Because it's supposed to be actual footage. You don't really have that choice. You believe what you're told. So when they say that this is footage, you say, yes, sir, this is footage. So this guy is supposed to represent the pinheads, right? Those people with the deformity that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, you don't see those people anywhere, But there was quite a few in the early 20s and stuff. It's just the whole Hollywoodism aspect of things. Gravity and space isn't God, and you don't have to believe in them. How do you come up with a world vacuum without a vacuum? How do you come up with the word vacuum without a vacuum having existed in the... What? So you're thinking that the word vacuum comes from space before it comes from the tool that they had? Or just the idea to vacuum something up? Yeah, that's the best argument you've made so far. The vacuum of space. How could you come up with the word vacuum without there being a vacuum of space in the first place? The guy that wants to claim he's like the smartest scientist guy just made that argument. that the word vacuum
He's smarter than you. You just don't get it.
has to come from outer space being a vacuum. Oh, I was wondering, gravity doesn't exist. What force do you think keeps us on the ground beneath us? Are you serious? What force keeps us on the ground? Why would we be off the ground? Because you believe we're spinning then, I guess, right? 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. Can't feel it or anything. But nothing keeps us on the ground. As a matter of fact, our bodies keep us from being on the ground. If you ever watch a kid learn how to walk, walking isn't something, like, we take it for granted now, but it's not something that you just instinctually do. You don't just one day start walking. You have to learn how to balance, and even then it takes forever for you to learn how to run and all that shit. Like, that's not because of gravity. You guys want to see me defy gravity? Ready? Where's the force now? Why isn't the force pulling my hair down? The force that's holding things down. See, you believe gravity to be the smartest thing ever. Gravity is along the lines of a virus. Super, super intelligent. And you have to believe this because you believe the dumb story to begin with. Right? You have to believe that gravity is somehow smart enough to know that we're on a ball spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at its equator, 26,000 miles across. 70% of that ball is water, meaning just a billion pounds of water is on this ball spinning around. And gravity knows to hold how much pressure it takes to hold that water not only on that ball, it's spinning at 1,000 miles per hour instead of it collecting all in the middle and then flying off. It knows to keep it there and just rock it a little bit. Just let it. It's just, oh, the wave comes up. Oh, and then the moon comes out and the moon pulls it just a little bit more and then the moon lets it go. Gravity is just, it knows. While at the same time, the little seed, cotton seed that's floating in the spring breeze, floating in the opposite direction of the Earth's spin. Gravity knows to let that seed go and go and go. And then suddenly that seed, gravity's like, all right, you need to go right there. And gravity pulls the seed down to the ground and then plants it, and it all works together. Okay, so gravity knows that I'm about to jump up into the air. But it knew that it didn't want to let me go flying off into the woo. No, it knew to bring me back down. I tricked it for a second. It has nothing to do with me being 200 pounds and, 6, so I don't have the thrust in my legs that I used to have, so I can't jump as high as I used to be able to jump, along with the additional body weight. That has nothing to do with it. No. It's gravity. Gravity. Holding me down. Gravity. Spinning around. Because gravity knows to hold all these things to the planet that also it knows to spin and have spin around another object. Like, it makes big objects revolve around each other, but then it makes
you're not getting that.
all sorts of size objects on top of one of those objects stick to those objects. Dude, that makes all in a vacuum. All in a vacuum. And you can prove it because you can invent a vacuum chamber that you can then create a nuclear self-burning furnace that lasts forever. Airless vacuum of space. Which will instinctively, as long as you just blow enough particles into that room, it'll eventually coalesce into clumps of planet that will then just revolve around that previous clump. Oh, by the way, the previous nuclear furnace thing, if you just create the vacuum and then inject the particles in there,
Boobs in the woods.
the first bunch of particles will clump together and then light themselves on fire. That's how it works. That makes sense, right? That makes sense.
That's the name of this episode.
Yeah. Boobs didn't used to mean tits.
Boobs in the woods.
How boobs became tits is
I don't know.
breasts. I love when people get mad because they can't actually argue shit. Gravity is a force constantly being applied to us being close to the earth. Jumping up with your legs is a force that stops you once you leave the ground, leaving only your momentum from the jump. So how does that force get interrupted then? Like, again, this just comes down to you believing what you're told with literally no reason to. There's nothing about your existence that tells you you're on a giant ball spinning around in a vacuum of space. Your personal existence tells you that everything in the sky revolves around us. We're not moving at all. The only reason you believe what you believe is because you've been told to believe that way by a system. That's it. You see lights up in the sky and you think those lights are what you think they are. You think those lights are the same thing that's making it light in the daytime right now. You think those are distant suns. You don't understand that if all of those lights in the sky were actually distant suns, it wouldn't be dark. And if our sun was actually a thing in the middle of the solar system, it wouldn't be dark. There wouldn't be a light in a dark with a Terminator line and shit. That's not how things work. You can have a light, a big blazing fire light in the middle of the dark. And if you have, it's got to be a big blazing plasma light that could be seen from thousands and thousands of miles away. And if you stand there with a ball, you're not going to be able to find a Terminator line, where on the other side, you just can't see anything. It's pitch black. It's just not how it works. And that's here on Earth with our blah blah, with the blue, and it's just so stupid. Gravity isn't being, it can just be canceled out temporarily by the initial. Okay, you think that my legs can cancel out gravity, but all of that water weight spinning on a ball at 1,000 miles per hour, that doesn't cancel out gravity. How does gravity know that, how much force to put on the water to keep it where it is, but then I can cancel it out with my weak old legs? Everything you're talking about when it comes to gravity, what you claim to be gravity, is explained by buoyancy and density. Just that simple. Things don't fall to the earth because there's a force. I throw that up. It doesn't come back down because there's a force. It comes back down because the momentum, the force I put into it going up, has run out. And because it's heavier than the air around it, it falls back down. There's no force pulling it down. That is stupid. And it's not testable. And it's explained by other things. So why would it have to be something so stupid? You're just not, you're just buying, you're just drinking the Kool-Aid. You're someone that thinks they're smarter than, because you may ask one or two questions. But it's you don't allow yourself to keep going. You know, it's the same people that tell you putting toxic waste byproduct in the drinking water for a 3% chance of cavity prevention is worth it. And that the only thing fluoride does to water is maybe give a 3% chance of cavity prevention. It doesn't do anything else, right? It doesn't build up in our systems, in our bodies, or in our agricultural systems or anything like that. No. It's all good, right? Because they told you that it was. You don't know. You haven't done long-term studies to find out. And everything that has to do with space, you literally only know what you're told to know. And everything you're told to know completely goes against what we experience. It's so stupid. You're Y-O-U-R a scientist now. Yep. A scientist now. Yep. The problem with the density area, the density doesn't have directionality. What reason is there for the denser object to fall down than any other direction? Wait. What are you talking about? Why would it go up? It's weight. That's just silly. I just can't, I don't understand why you think it would go in the other direction. It's heavy. It falls down. If you throw it up, it comes back down because the energy is gone. Pretty simple. Like, this is just the weirdest shit. I just can't. Like, you'll just keep coming up with weird scenarios that are easily disrupted. And you won't acknowledge it. It sounds like a weird question, but you need to provide a reason for why density forces objects specifically in that direction. No, you don't. Why would it go up? There's not a force pushing it up. It does go in other directions if there's a force pushing it up, but it falls down because of the weight of the object. The density of the object makes it heavier, and the heavier it is, the more it's heavy. It's going to fall. And then if you have something like a balloon full of helium, where the air inside that balloon weighs less than the air around it, then that balloon will fly not just straight up, but in every direction because of the winds or whatever it may be doing that day. But that has to do with weight. It has nothing to do with, so again, the magical force that I have to come up with, you have to come up with this. The magical force that pulls everything down says, oh, wait, hey, that thing right there, that little ball, somebody put some helium in it, so now I'm going to let that shit just fly around. Right? Because gravity knows. I can prove your density theory wrong with a book. Oh, here we go. Nobody cares. With gravity, directionality is explained because objects are attracted to objects based on their mass. That doesn't make any sense. That's just dumb, and that's not experienced in anything. Even your Aries failure experiment doesn't validate that thesis. That you can't recreate it. You can't put the ball that's just floating in vacuum space. It's going to be connected to an apparatus that's connected to another apparatus and blah, blah, blah. But this is stupid. Your argument just keeps failing. You have to keep coming up with new things because your argument is failing, and you're insisting on this directionality, which, I guess, again, the gravity that pulls things into the earth, but not the gravity that makes the earth go around the sun. That directionality doesn't need to be addressed. Your idea of some sort of propulsion method that would make things fly in other directions, that's what needs to be validated. Something falling because it's heavier than the air around it makes, like, I don't even understand what you're thinking there. How that doesn't make sense to you is rather concerning, because that shows you the level of distraction you're willing to take. Down to us is relative because the closest massive objects are the Earth, and so we are pulled towards the Earth's center of the mass. No, we're not. You know, I mean, it's just, what are you talking about? That there's no pull happening. It's just so strange that you just keep going with this. You know, it's fucking stupid. You know, there are videos where guys will show you, like, especially in water, how density works. And how there's no force pulling these things down. Some things have a different chemical or a different elemental weight than the water. So they sink. They, like, you can see, like, they'll make you ever seen those things where, like, it's an enclosed environment and they have all the different liquids in it, and after it settles, it's like doot 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 doot. You know, the different liquids separates. Even your fucking salad dressing and shit. I mean, these are just basic principles that are really easy to prove, and you're overlooking really simple things. Like, I keep addressing your questions. You don't want to address mine. You just want to be right, so you just keep jumping from topic to topic, saying dumb thing after dumb thing. You know, never mind the idea of how gravity knows to contain the water, the 70% of the water, to the ball that's spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, not have it coagulate at the center and then fly off. It just keeps it where it is, along with all the lakes and all that other stuff. While also knowing, hey, look, that bird. Hope that bird's gonna just go fly. Oh, look at that giant airplane. Many, many tons of airplane. Just gonna fly. Oh, look, now the seed's gonna fly.
Dad, can I go to G's?
Yeah, dude, I told you.
Let me shower.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll take you. Oh no, I'll have to pick him up. Hey, you can pick him up.
He was saying earlier, like, so cool, G hasn't called this weekend for me to come hang out. I was like, dude, it's okay for you to be upset about that, but you don't know. She could have had all kinds of stuff going on this weekend. No, I don't care. I don't care. I said, obviously you do. It's okay. It's okay to care. Just understand that you're probably making something out of it that it's not. And I know when she calls you and says, hey, come over, you're going to jump right to coming over. He was like, whatever. With rotational motion, you need angular momentum and not linear momentum. The Earth rotates at 15 degrees per hour, which is... Again, now we start going off into these crazy bullshit numbers that you can't prove for anything. You just believe it for what it's told. Because this lighter is not heavier than the air around it, so it falls down. That has nothing to do with that. You kept saying that I had to attribute for the directionality of why it falls downwards and doesn't go up. And when I ask you, well, what would have been the propulsion mechanism to make it go up, you don't have anything to say. You just keep jumping from thing to thing because you can't come up with anything else. And it's just stupid. This dumbass keeps repeating, get a book and a piece of paper, get a book and a piece. He doesn't want to answer for any of the things that are being said I'm supposed to go get it. What?
I need pants and
Go get yourself some goddamn pants.
also, what do you guys drive me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Get in the shower. I'll get you some pants.
Get me black one.
I'll see what I can do.
Let's see. There's a very famous flat earther who proved 15 degrees per hour spin with a laser. Laser gyroscope, right. Because now we have to rely on technology that can't be programmed to do things. No. Must be true. Must be true. Because there's a degree of blah, blah, this, that, and the other. Not all of the other things that I keep saying that you can't answer for and you keep avoiding. None of that. None of that. It's that it must be the gravity. It's amazing, right? It's amazing. It's amazing how stupid they have us. And the stupidity it's so consistent. It works so well because they have you in the same stupid with everything. Whether you're a Christian or you're a science person or whatever, it's all the same stupid. You believe certain, like again, this is the same person that's arguing that because they were told that as long as fluoride is at certain levels, it's safe. It's okay to put the byproduct from fertilizer creation into drinking water, but because they whoever they are, the same they that tell you they do it for a 3% chance, maybe 3% chance of cavity prevention, which is not a thing. You can't say something has a 3, 25 to, any percent chance of happening. You just can't say that, especially on large scale numbers. That's just chance. That's not actual anything. But when you believe the narrative, like again, I at least admire the fact that you believe all of the narratives, because at least you're not arrogant enough to think that, I'm going to pick and choose which of the narratives I believe. You're going to double down on all of it, even though you can't actually answer for anything. As for the water sticking to the earth claim, the mass of all the water on earth is a lot, but nothing compared to the mass of the earth. As for the water sticking to the earth claim, the mass of all the water on earth is a lot, but nothing compared to the mass of the earth. So that's why the water doesn't coalesce and fly off. But this little cloud, the little seed that's a great answer. It's not at all. It's dumb as fuck. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. I was getting mad.
Easy.
It's just dumb. That level of stupidity is ridiculous. What would that have to do with anything? We're talking about physics, right? The physics of liquid sticking to a ball that is spinning. And guess what happens? Water does not stick to spinning balls. Did you know that? You spin a ball super fast that's wet and the water comes off. And it doesn't come off in every direction. It coalesces in the middle and spins out in a circle, in a spiral. There's lots of pictures of it. You believe this giant rock is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. And yet the water just waves, just in different directions. Ooh, sometimes the waves go back in the other direction. And, yep, that makes sense. It doesn't pool together and fly off. But, like you said, I I can cancel out the force that holds the water, the mass of the water with the mass of the earth in its place. I can cancel out that force by jumping. But the waves and shit, all that water weight, that's held in its place. What sense does that make? How intelligent do you honestly think gravity is? Because gravity then has to be making all of these individual calculations at all times to decide, hey, look, that cat's about to jump up on that fridge. That shit's, 20 times the height, 10 times the height of the cat. How the fuck is it? Whoop, jumped right up there. It just canceled out gravity. But doesn't matter how big the fucking wave is, it eventually just recedes back into the water because gravity holds it in that spot. And with the slow ending, Earth's gravity enough to... And with the slow 15 degree per hour rotation of the Earth means there isn't enough force to counteract Earth's gravity enough to escape its pull. Just stupid. Where would you even begin to test this nonsense? This person is just regurgitating some shit that, how would you know? Where could you begin to do an experiment to prove anything of that being true?
You're gonna fall.
You just believe what you're told. It's embarrassing. The seed is able to be suspended temporarily because other forces such as air resistance and wind, right? They counteract that magnificent, super mighty force that has enough power to hold water to a spinning ball, but the seed and the other forces can go against that. Do you understand that water is the most powerful force on Earth? If water is going to get into something and you can't even contain it, like you can't squeeze water down without breaking whatever it is. It won't compress past a certain point where water's the most destructive force on Earth. And yet gravity holds water back, yet forces let the, like air resistance and the wind, let the seed fly around. I mean, I'm not going to keep making the same points. It's dumb. Either you believe that or you don't. There's nothing I can do. I can't make that point anymore to you. It's stupid. You think gravity is incredibly intelligent. And I say that's why you don't see it. That's why there's no testing for it. That's the kind of ignorance they hide behind. It's this fundamental force. It's the weakest of, I read about it yesterday or the day before. It's the weakest of the fundamental forces with a comparison rate of wasn't it like 10 to the 36 or some shit? It was 10 to the 36 times weaker than the next weak force in the universe. That is, I'd love to know some sort of comparison to that.
You're all in my face.
I'd love to know something that is 10 to the 38th times smaller than something else. Like an atom. What is an atom? Well, see, I can't prove atoms and shit. I have to be able to see it. So let's just say like the smallest little grain of salt. What is 10 to the 38th times bigger than a grain of salt? Because that shit gets huge. You multiply 2 times 2. Once you just multiply the size times itself, times itself, times itself.
Can't hear all of that.
Like, that's some crazy shit.
Cow hair. Yeah, you.
Gravity isn't an anti-Semitic thing. It's a constant force. No, it's clearly not. Because if it was constant, it would affect the same things all the way, all the time. It wouldn't be able to hold back water, but then let the thing fly. But okay, man. Gravity is also affected by mass of both. Now we're talking about mass because, You know, again, that's not something that's proven anywhere else. Doesn't matter how big the thing is you have compared to the small thing, the water's going to react on the same way. It's not, nothing else attracts something else. No big giant thing that's created attracts little things to it. It's not how it works. You know, it just doesn't work that way, and it doesn't exist in anything. You know, airplanes and shit don't attract little giant or little tiny pieces of whatever that just are attracted to the giant mass of the airplane. It doesn't work that way. It's silly. Gravity doesn't think. No one is making that argument. Right, because you're not allowing yourself to understand that it would have to think. It would have to decide things. It would have to be the most intelligent force in the universe because it's sitting there making decisions on which things are allowed to fly and which things aren't. Okay, I'm going to put this much force on the earth. I'm going to hold the water on it. Not going to let it splash all over. Just going to keep it maintained in the same place for a giggity years while it spins around at 1,000. It's just staying on there with same water. Just stays on there, round and around and around. It's like spinning around and then spinning around. But yeah, that makes sense. And you know that because you've experienced that. It's not solely because that's what you've been told. The same system that tells you should probably believe in Jesus if you're an American or a Western society person. The same society that told you gay was bad. The same society that tells you can't talk bad about Israel. You have to accept the Jays, that cult, the J cult. You have to accept it. You know? Like it's amazing how blind you can make yourself when you want to. The same ignorance you would chastise somebody else for using regarding gay stuff or regarding, you know, regarding the trans stuff or whatever. That same ignorance you then apply to your argument because you don't have anything to say. I mean, I'm agnostic atheist, so God is no concern to me. A grain of sand would be attracted to the earth more than a plane because the earth is so unbelievably massive in comparison. That's not true. That's not true. The grain of sand would be more. No, if you drop the grain of sand and you drop the airplane, they're both falling. Yeah, he had a big breakfast, but he should eat a sandwich before he goes. I mean, it's just dumb. Airplane is less massive compared to the airplane. Like, just stupid. It's just stupid. These things you're just not making sense. You're talking about an invisible force that knows the difference between this, that, and the other. And that's not the argument that was even being made, but nice try. You know, I'm going to talk about a grain of sand. Well, I said a grain of sand is 10 to the 38th times smaller than what? This is the force of gravity in the universe. It's 10 to the 38th times weaker than the weak force. Strong force, the weak force, the blah, blah. It's stupid. The electromagnetic force and the something else. I can't remember. No, anything on the earth. No, because the earth is so stupid. It's just so stupid. That's not how things work. Things don't attract. That is stupid. You could hold all the grains of sand you want next to a giant skyscraper. You let go of the grain of sand, it's going to fall straight down. It's not going to get attracted to the building because the building is so super massive. You know, it's just stupid. You know, I just can't. I can't even begin to like. I can't even begin to to play those dumb games. That's just stupid. Large objects attract. Where does the cutoff come at? How large does something have to be before it attracts the other things? But at the same time, that large object revolves around other objects. Another object. Now, that object is supposedly a lot larger than the two smaller objects in between that object and the much, much larger sun. But those two other objects don't get pulled into the sun. Neither do their moons. They also go around because there's that cutoff point at some point where things, instead of... Now, also, Elon Musk's car does not revolve around Earth. It revolves around the sun itself too. So somehow they were able to put a car into orbit around the sun as well. It's at a Lagrange point, I'm sure. It's fucking stupid, man. It's just so incredibly stupid. And it's the exact same stupid. You have to, like, talk about distraction, crazy stupidity that you have to believe it. And if you don't, you're allowed to be attacked. But at the same time, if you don't believe in Christianity, which is the counterpoint to that, you're allowed to be attacked as well. You have to believe these control schemes, and usually it's a combination of both. And you just don't see anything wrong with that. And it's all given to you by the same corrupt, disgusting cult that uses their untouchability to take your tax dollars like you wouldn't believe, cut and suck on baby penises without any sort of accountability, and they're committing genocide right now. And you just like, when you understand that it's all the same shit, it's all conversations to keep you from addressing what's really going on and what's really important. And you understand, like, it's the same creators, the same people that created all these dumb narratives, these overlapping dumb narratives that, we were these people who didn't have any technology, and we were, just living off the land, and we barely knew anything, but we also built incredible castles and skyscrapers, and we had all this technology to be able to dig underwater, and and build canals and cities, and the oldest pictures show incredibly old looking built up cities. But hey, never mind that. Like, it's, we were backwards. We didn't have any technology. The reality is, it all comes down to, if you want the truth about any of it, whether it's confirmation that we have been given the truth, or the real truth that's being hidden from us, which is much more likely, the only way that works is if the Goyim unite and overthrow the people that are committing genocide right now, because they also control the narrative. And it's really hard to overlook it. Like, I'm just trying to be entertained, right? I'm watching Toy Galaxy. It's a YouTube page where they break down the history of individual cartoons from when I was growing up. And I'm a nerd, and I like watching that kind of shit. So I'm watching today, it's talking about, what was the fucking show I was watching? Brave Star. And they all these episodes, like, they go into the history of how the cartoon came into existence, but you know the nitty gritty stuff on the inside, and you know the toy manufacturing and all the really sort of sinister stuff that went on inside it as well. And every single time, you know, it's Schlesinger and it's Katz and it's, you know, it's always the same group of people who are in charge, making millions and millions of dollars, providing us the same rehash of the same old thing, stealing things from Japan that had been, you know, relatively successful over there, bringing it here, and then, you know, giving it a new coat of paint and calling it, and then making a gazillion dollars off of the franchise. Like, it's all this more and more confirmation that Hollywoodism is the most important thing that you should watch, and answers all the questions. You know, it really does show you why they're not only allowed to commit genocide out in the open, you know, but this is a cult. Like, we are accommodating an absolute cult, and they hate us. They fucking hate us. Like, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what orientation you are. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I mean, like, they do like fucking the women. There's no doubt about that. But it really doesn't matter. Like, that, they like you for entertainment purposes. They don't respect you. They still hate you. Like, they just hate us. And they control our lives, and they control our point of view, and they, you know, they manipulate us, and they laugh about it, and they give themselves awards, and they give themselves medals. You know, they had to come up with award shows, right? Because the notion of them getting medals all the time started to get a little ridiculous. Presidential medals and shit. So instead, let's just create an award show where we can have this huge party we give ourselves, and give ourselves these fake awards. It's so wild. And thinking that, like, that there's any other solution, that we can fix any individual thing, or we can get the truth behind any individual thing without, you know, it has to be a complete overhaul. You know, you have to overhaul your arrogance and realize, like, again, you only believe what you want to believe. And the same system that you call out the majority of the time, you then choose to believe it when you want to. It's the difference between you and I. I just think it's all bullshit. Until I see, you know, good enough proof to show me the narrative is true, or at least give me a narrative that makes sense, I'm no longer going to just believe it because you want me to. You know, it's 2025. There shouldn't even be an Earth-shaped argument. If it's a round ball flying through space, every argument that's been created should have been met by the system, and, you know, a really well-done documentary should have come out tackling all the issues and proving how everything's wrong. Somebody could have made a gazillion dollars doing that by now. And yet, it hadn't happened for some strange reason. Seriously, do you know how much money somebody can make off of that movie? They you know, proof the earth is round. And the big blockbuster picture where they launch a rocket straight up and you can see it. Or they put a rocket with a fucking camera on the top of it that actually shows you it going from blue to black. Blue on black. It's just dumb, man. It's just dumb. And it's the same people committing genocide, like I said. They're using all of these dumb distractions to commit as much death and murder as they can because we're going to figure it out soon. I think they're really freaking out. You know, it just happens to work out that as the people are really starting to catch on, you know, they're just putting the pedal to the metal and getting as much out of it as they can. They're killing so many people right now. And, you know, the whole Hollywood rape scene, it's never been addressed. It still exists. They're still at the top of that pyramid. They always have. They created it. They didn't just create the entire industry. They didn't just build Hollywood to their specifications, supposedly, to then just give it up at some point. No, it's passed down. It's all in the family, all in the community. And they control everything you think. And that's what Hollywoodism will tell you. And if you don't go watch it, you don't have anything to say. You know, I only want you to, I don't give you a whole bunch of shit to go look into. I just want you to look at one thing. And if you're not willing to do that, your opinion doesn't matter. I look into all sorts of things that I can confidently say, just look at this one thing and it'll answer the questions. But you're a douche. And you don't want to give that same respect. So your opinion doesn't matter. If I was wrong, it should be much easier to prove. People should be able to make much better arguments than it's the mass and the blah. It's just dumb stuff. You know? When you realize that it's all manipulation, and then you look at it from that perspective, it's amazing how you don't have to try very hard. You know, a lot of times, like 9/11, you really have to try hard to believe that a passport could fly out of that explosion virtually untouched and survive everything and land on the street at somebody's feet, you know, out of all the things. Like, you really have to try to believe that. You really have to try to believe that a plane that the night before Rumsfeld launch it, announces a loss, unable to track $2.3 trillion in that same the same area of the Pentagon where that investigation was being housed, happened to be the exact location where the plane that collapsed in on itself and fit into a tiny little hole in the wall that went 3 layers deep and really seemed like a bunker buster missile you know, and then they had to hurry up and knock down the wall while Rumsfeld ran around picking up evidence with his hands destroying the crime scene. Like, that whole narrative is I don't know, how do you believe that? But it's that same thing regardless of what you're told. or what you're talking about. You could be talking about TWA Flight 800 and you know, the radar footage, the radar signature that shows that the Navy was in the area, and as soon as the missile that tons of people saw hit the fucking plane, and the plane came crashing down, the Navy was seen on radars, 2 specialized radars, going in the opposite direction 30 knots. When something like that happens, anyone that's in the area that has a boat or whatever and can help is almost like required to help, especially a military vessel. This one small Black Ops fleet was seen going in the other direction. Or how about Oklahoma City, which none of you even remember, is April 19th, 1995. Oklahoma City, where the ATF agents were told not to come, received a page saying not to come into work that morning. And then John Doe number 2 that just disappeared. And if you can, go watch A Noble Lie. That's another good one. A Noble Lie. If you can find it, it's all about Oklahoma City. That's another one I suggest watching. But obviously, if you're going to only watch anything, watch Hollywoodism. Go get your free download. www.the-bilderberg.group.com. And there's also going to be a link to the Facebook page. Go check out our music videos. And fucking hey, pedophiles, you kill yourself.